StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. Then we put all this together into one framework, one philosophy, one approach, several different ways that you can get things done, a whole bunch of different frameworks, as a matter of fact, and this daily masterclass that is called Work On, all under the umbrella that is called Work On Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to be political. Now, I hinted that this episode was coming very soon. And again, when I tell you that something is coming soon, I do literally mean soon. All right, so whatever your definition of soon is, when you hear it from me, rearrange that definition in your mind. So before I even get into why we're even talking about this whole topic of politics, let me remind everybody, or inform you if you didn't know, that I have a text message line where I want you to text me and tell me the most valuable idea or insight or nugget that you got from today's masterclass. My number is 305-384-6894. And once you text me, not only will you be able to engage with me directly there, because I spend time responding to my texts every day, you also will be in my texting community, which means you're going to receive my daily motivation text message that I send out every single morning to everyone in my text community. So even if you just want to get the daily motivation text, just hit me with a text right now at that number, 305-384-6894. Now back to our topic. People bring up politics, and I talked about this yesterday a little bit, that people bring up politics as some bad thing because we've all been socialized to think that being political means you need to be some type of nasty, conniving, backstabbing, two-timing person, saying things behind people's backs. And that is not what politics is about. Now, while politics can be a part of politics, that is not what politics is about. It's really in how you look at and understand the value of politics. And I'm going to help you understand that here today and give you a different view of what politics is so that you can actually start leveraging politics, because you need to be doing so. If you are not leveraging politics in your life or in your business right now, you are doing yourself a disservice and you are actually hurting your future success. So hopefully that is enough. What I just told you there is enough to sell you on the concept of learning to leverage politics, learning to use politics, and not maybe thinking that you are too far above politics or too anything to not use politics. Because if you're not using politics, politics is going to use you. All right, so let's get into these points so that you know exactly how to use politics and use them the right way. Point number one, the topic once again is how to be political. Number one, accept politics as a natural aspect of human life, because it is. I'm pausing there so you can let that one sink in. Politics is a natural aspect of human life. I once heard someone say, as soon as you put 3 people in a room, you get politics. And what does that mean? Is that we are all, always, sometimes in subtle ways and sometimes in overt ways, we are working to protect and advance our own self-interest. Why? Because we're human beings and we are all self-interested. Some of us are a little bit more aggressive than others in going after those self-interests, but we are all self-interested on some level. Human beings, including yourself, we will always do things to protect or advance our and their, talking about other people, self-interest. You personally are not exempt from this rule. You're not exempt from this law. Now, you may not use the label and call it politics, and you may not call it self-interest when you are doing things indeed to serve yourself, but that is exactly what it is, and that's exactly what you're doing. So when you engage with other human beings and you use those engagements to help yourself, all right, you are being political. You are politicking. Any smart human being does this upon realizing that doing everything on your own is a fool's errand that won't work anyway. Now, this is something I've talked about on the show a whole bunch of times. I've told you so many times that you will get more things done through other people's efforts, other people's knowledge, other people's money, other people's presence, other people's whatever, time, money, attention, energy, and focus than you will ever be able to do on your own. How is this and how do I know this? First of all, because you are not good at everything. You do not know everything. You don't see everything. You can't be everywhere at the same time. So if you're trying to do everything by yourself, you are limited to being just you. And every weakness that you have, everything that you can't do, every place that you can't be, all of those things are weaknesses. All of those are holes and gaps in your game if you're trying to do everything yourself. Second of all, when you work with other people, even if it's just two of you, then the law of synergy comes into play. Then the mastermind comes into play. The mastermind does not mean 5 or 10 or 100 people working together. The mastermind means 2 or more people working together in a spirit of harmony, looking to reach a common goal. That's what a mastermind is. That's the definition of it. The definition of synergy is when people come together, they create an energy that is equal, that is greater than the sum of its parts. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. In other words, 1 + 1 = 3 when you have synergy. Synergy and the mastermind, actually, they kind of work off of each other. When you have 2 people working together in a spirit of harmony, then they create a third mind, that when those 2 people are together, you don't have 2 minds together, you have 3. You have the mind of the first person, the mind of person number 2, and you have the third mind, which is the mind of both of them when they're together, working together. That is the synergy. So if you're trying to do everything on your own, it's just you by yourself. All right, there's no synergy, there's no mastermind, and again, everything that you're not good at will forever be a gap in your game, it will forever be a hole in your game. So politics is a natural aspect of human life because all smart people always leverage other people in order to get what they want. Only dummies try to do everything by themselves. Now, question, which one are you? It is a fool's errand to trying to do everything on your own for the reasons that I just told you, and because of the fact that, look at all the human beings who are around you. Look at the people who could use your strengths. And because we're all unique and because we're all different, we don't all have the same skill sets. There are some skills that you have that other people need those things that you bring to the table. If they knew that you had them and they knew that you could help them with what you do, they would gladly give you the resources that you want, whether that is time, money, attention, energy, focus, whatever it is that you want from people in exchange for the resources that you have that they don't have, that they don't want to acquire. They just want to get it from somebody else. They will gladly pay for it if you could let them know that you have it. And you can negotiate the exchange. We also call that selling. And for you, the same thing. We flip it around. Are there skills, resources, abilities, knowledge that you don't have, that you don't want to go and acquire on your own because it would take too long, or you just don't feel like it, or you just don't want to do that? You know it's not your wheelhouse, it's not your strength, but you will gladly pay somebody else for it? I'm sure you would. Now, how many of you grow all your own food and cook all your own food from farm to table and then eat food that you grew in your own garden? I don't. So I pay somebody else to get my food. Anytime I eat food, I've paid somebody in some way. Even if I go to the grocery store, I'm paying the grocery store for getting that food packaged up. I ordered, what did I order? Just this past weekend, I ordered some food from an Asian restaurant. They had some sandwiches, like some little buns. They had some chicken, like fried type chicken. And they had, what was the other thing they had? I can't remember. It was a gyoza. It was like a little, kind of like an Asian version of an empanada, I guess we can call it. I didn't farm any of that food. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what ingredients they used. I didn't cook anything. All I did was call, I ordered, I went and got it and paid for it. That's it. And then I ate it. All right. So I leveraged the abilities of those people and they leveraged my money. All right. I gave them the money. They gave me the food. All right. This is what we do every day, all day. You might not think about it that way. That's exactly what you're doing. All right. Did you stitch the clothing that you're wearing right now? Did you put together the car that you're driving in right now? Did you architect or lay the concrete for the building that you are in right now? The answers are probably no, no, and no. So you are leveraging other people all the time. You might not even think about it that way. And where are you going right now? If you're traveling right now, if you're going somewhere right now, if you have a job, all right, somebody's leveraging you. And this is not a bad thing. They are using you. You're using them. You get what you want. They get what they want. And we do this all day, every day in life. This is a form of politics. So do not look at politics as a negative thing. Look at it as a positive thing. So the first thing I'm trying to help you understand is the mindset that politics is actually a good thing that you should be using all the time because you are already using it. So now what I'm trying to help you do is become more strategic and conscious about the concept of politics. Let's move on to point number 2. The topic, once again, is how to be political. Number 2, you got to peep game. What peep game means is pay attention to what the hell is going on. If I was to say it in more plain English, peep game is a kind of a slang phrase. A big part of politics, everybody, is knowing how to deal with every person you come across as an individual. In other words, it's having people skills. People skills is actually a course, a 10 module course that I have that is available in Work on Your Game University. So if you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, you can join the university, get access to all of the courses that I've ever created. I believe it's 37 courses in there. People skills being one of them, bulletproof mindset another one, 30 days of discipline is another, 25 hours is another. But anyway, a big part of politics is seeing each individual person as they are, for who they are, and then making your necessary adjustments in your dealings and communications with those people so that you can get what you want. You want to get what you want from one person, you have to communicate with them a certain way. Now, you can't take that exact same communication and use it with every person you come across because not everybody's exactly the same. And everybody else should be looking at you, again, as an individual, same way you should be looking at them as an individual. So your job is to know the game that is going on when you're dealing with other people and strategize how you can play that game or fit into it. You got to know who's who. You got to know who knows who. You got to know who has the title versus who's really in power. Good politicians are very good at identifying who is who. And when I say politician, I don't mean a person like the governor or the mayor or the president. A politician is a human like you who understands that politics is part of the game. So you're always being a politician when you're dealing with other people. You're either a good politician or a bad politician. Good ones are good at identifying people for who they are. They're good at knowing, all right, here's how I talk to this type of person. Here's what this person is interested in. Here's how I can get a feel for what this person is really thinking or feeling, even though they're not quite saying it out loud. Here's how I can make a better connection with this individual because I know how they need to be spoken to. People who are good at people skills, people who have good people skills, are really good at this form of communication. And communication, everybody, is not just speaking. Communication is also listening. It's noticing. It's picking up on things that are not being said. It is noticing things that are not being obviously put in front of you. And this requires, in order for you to do this good listening, is you got to turn your own brain off and stop just thinking about yourself all the time and what you think and what's going through your head. Turn your brain off and put yourself into another person's mind. Pay closer attention to other people so that you can read what they are communicating, which 90% of it is nonverbal. It is not the words that they say. And human beings, once we get to about age 18, we get really good at lying with our words. Any of you ever told somebody a lie with your words? Any of you ever had somebody tell you something and you knew they were lying with their words? Of course, we have all told a lie and we all been told lies. Why is this? Because we all get really good at bending and altering our words to sound however we think other people want us to sound. We're all really good at that. So if you want to know what someone really thinks, do not trust their words. Look at their actions. Look at their body language. Look at everything other than what they're saying. That will communicate it clearly. The thing is, so many of us are so terrible at doing this because we are so stuck on ourselves. We're all focused on number one, which is ourselves, and we never turn off our internal dialogue, which is all about us, to focus on the external dialogue and what everybody else is communicating. A good politician is really good at that, whereas most people are terrible at it. Speaking of such, let's move on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to be political. You got to know who's who so you don't give the wrong resources to the wrong person. A good politician knows how to put the right people in the right places. They don't put people who don't belong in job A into job A. Politics means you got to know the terrain. You got to know the lay of the land, as Sun Tzu said in The Art of War. Know the terrain, know yourself, know your enemy, and in 100 battles, you will never be in peril. So in politics, you got to ask yourself, who's the friendly person? Who's the open book person? Who needs a little bit of time to warm up? Who's insecure? Who's confident? What are people's motivations and drivers? Good politicians are always thinking about these things. Why? Because they're understanding that they're going to need to be able to connect with people in order to get those people to go along with them. You want people's cooperation, you got to connect with them. Now, sometimes people will cooperate because maybe you have some power. If you're in a boss position or some type of authority position where there's repercussions for not listening to you, then sometimes people will comply even if they don't want to. But if you want people to actually want to follow you, not comply with you, but follow you, then that means you have to become a leader. And to become a leader, you got to be able to communicate with people on their level. And everybody is on a different level. Everybody's in a different space, and everybody's thinking about themselves. So what's the best way to communicate with people? Talk to them about their favorite subject, which is themselves. But you have to observe and be listening and noticing the nonverbal communication to know what that person's language is. Their language is not just words that you say. Again, it is the things that are not being said by you and the things that are not being said by them. So your job as a good politician is to know who's who and do not give the wrong resources to the wrong person. Don't give the wrong time to a person who doesn't need it. Don't give money to a person who's looking for time, attention, energy, focus. What kind of energy do you need to have when you're dealing with certain people? You usually want to try to match them. If any of you ever read any books on rapport building or communication skills or sales, you've probably been told these things. A good politician, a good salesperson is a good politician. A good salesperson knows how to read the room. A good salesperson knows how to take the temperature of another person's energy and adjust themselves accordingly. Bad salespeople and bad politicians, they just bring their energy to anything they do and don't give a damn how anybody else feels. This is bad politics. It would get you voted out of your position, metaphorically speaking. When I was in college, there was a new basketball coach who came in after my sophomore year and before my junior year. And I remember I met the coach. His name was Armin Gilliam. I met the coach when he got hired, because he got hired over the summer, and I happened to be on campus taking summer classes that year. And I remember meeting him, and I could tell from the moment that I met him, he was just looking through me. He was like, I was nobody to him. And I could tell just from that meeting, I only talked to him for about 2 minutes. And I could tell that his mind was already on, I'm going to replace all the previous season's players. I just got that feeling from the new coach the day that I met him. He was just coming out of his press conference. So that sparked some motivation in me that, all right, I really need to work on my game and be sharp and on point come the fall semester, because I was staying at that school and I planned on being on the basketball team. But the way I had engaged with this coach, my first time meeting him, was he wasn't looking at me as anything that mattered for the future of the basketball program. So I was going to have to change his mind. So my mentality for the rest of that summer and then going into the fall semester is I got to show up as if I'm nobody, as if I'm like a walk-on all over again, and I got to prove myself all over again here at this school. I had that mentality because I could read that energy coming off of the coach. Now, I had some teammates from my sophomore year who did not have that engagement that I had. They weren't on campus taking summer classes, so they didn't meet the coach the way that I met him. They ran into him on campus the same way that everybody else had ran into him once the school year started. And I remember one particular day, I saw like 3 or 4 of my teammates, they were walking together on campus, and I was like several hundred yards away. I was coming out of one of the academic buildings. I was walking towards the gym, but I could see them in front of the gym, and they happened to run into the coach. And they started talking to the coach, and I could just tell by the body language of the players that they were talking to the coach as if it was kind of like, I think that movie, Remember the Titans. Remember when Denzel Washington was the coach and he came in to coach this football team that already existed? I think this was Remember the Titans. He was coaching this high school football team that already had some established players, and some of the players were kind of standoffish to the new coach. Like, hey, we don't need any of the new coach's ways. We already got what we need on this particular team. And these players, my teammates, my soon to be former teammates from my sophomore year, they were talking to the coach as if they were in a partnership with the coach. And I knew from my engagement with the coach in the summer that he wasn't looking at any of us incumbent players as players on his team. He was looking at it, everything's wide open. Nobody has a spot on this team. They were talking to him as if they were dictating to him how things were going to go. And I remember just reading their body language. I said, these guys really don't know what's going on here. And I didn't say anything to them. And then what ended up happening, and it didn't take long, as soon as we started basketball practice / tryouts for that year, those guys ended up getting cut off the basketball team. None of them survived in the basketball program, not because they couldn't play, but because they didn't understand politics. They did a terrible job of reading the room, and the room happens to just be one person. So read the room does not mean 100 people or 1 million people or social media followers. Reading the room sometimes just means understanding the energy of the person that you're dealing with. This is a communication skill, folks. A communication skill is understanding the energy of the person you're dealing with. It has nothing to do with their actual words that they are saying. It is a fail of politics to fail to read the room. Point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is how to be political. Get your weight up. What does get your weight up mean? It means work on your game. It means get better. Remember what politics is, everybody. Protecting and advancing your self-interests. If you want to be a player in the political game, then you need some substance with you that other people want so that they can see you as the type of person that they want to be connected with. I mean, if you want to connect with other people, then you got to bring some substance to the table so that people want to connect with you. I told you in episode 1620, the style and substance mix for audience building. And in episode number 1286, how to be a person of substance. So when I say get your weight up, what I mean is have some substance to who you are as a person. When people come across you, who are you and what do you bring to the table that makes anyone else interested in you? Why should someone be interested in you? Why would anyone want to or even be able to leverage you and your resources for their self-interest? And again, it's not a bad thing when other people leverage you for their self-interest, because if you let them leverage you, then quid pro quo is that they will let you leverage them. All right, so you want to be leveraged by other people. You want to be the type of person that other people are calling on because you have something that can help them get to where they want to go. All right, so you want this to be happening. Okay, do not look at this as a bad thing. This is actually a good thing. But you have to have some substance. If you have nothing to offer, then why would anybody want to deal with you? Why would anyone need to connect with you? Why would anyone want to engage with you? I get messages all the time, especially in the sports realm, from basketball players who say things, well, Dre, I get messages from people often who say, well, Dre, do you have any connections? Do you know any agents? Do you know anybody who can help me get on, who can put me on? And I usually don't get to saying this to the athletes. Usually I just send them a link to go get the Overseas Basketball Blueprint for free, which is another one of my books you can get for free. And I ask them, have they read it? And then I just send them a link to go get the book. But the first thing that I'm thinking whenever I get a message like that, or when I used to get messages like that all the time from basketball players who wanted to play pro, is like, who the hell are you that somebody's just going to give you a connection? All right, why would anybody want to? I understand why you want to connect with them, but why would they want to connect with you? Like, who are you? What do you bring to the table? What can you do for this agent that you want to connect with that the agent gives a damn about? Because listen, it ain't having a player who can think they can play pro. You know how many players think they can play pro? All right, ain't nothing unique about that. Who are you? All right, if you can't answer that question, what you bring to the table of substance that will make someone else give a damn about connecting with you, then you shouldn't be looking for connections. Why would anybody want to connect? Now, there needs to be a mutual benefit here. All right, politics is about mutual benefit. You do something for me, I'll do something for you. All right, what can you do for another person? If you can't answer the question, then you are not ready to go make connections. To be a player in the political game, have some substance. Who wants to connect with a person who has nothing going on and has nothing to offer anybody? No one. So while you're doing all of this stuff that I've told you so far in this episode, continue to work on your game so you always have something that other people want, so that you're always the type of person that other people want to deal with because there is some substance which you bring to the table. Let's recap today's class, which is how to be political. Politics, again, folks, is not a bad thing. Politics is not a negative thing. I know you've been socialized to believe that being political means being nasty or backstabbing or conniving. That is not what it's about. Today, I'm going to give you a different perspective. Take this with you. Point number one, accept politics as a natural aspect of human life because that's what it is. People will always do things to protect or advance their own self-interest. You are no exception. Every smart human realizes that doing things by themselves is a fool's errand. It will not work because you are only one person. Point number two, peep the game. Know what the hell is going on. See the landscape. A big part of politics is knowing how to deal with each person as an individual. Know who's who. Know who knows who has the title versus who is in power. Good politicians are always good at identifying the right people. Point number three, know who people are so that you don't give the wrong resources, time, money, attention, energy, focus to the wrong person. Know the terrain. Know the lay of the land. Know how people think. Know how people tick. Get into other people's heads. Don't just think about yourself all the time. Think about how other people are thinking, not just how you're thinking. Do not make the mistake of my former college teammates who thought that the new coach was going to bow at the feet of the former players. The new coach didn't give a damn about any of the former players. And my teammates who didn't understand that went into tryouts thinking it was one thing, but it turned out to be another, and they paid for it with their careers. Point number four, get your weight up. Remember what politics is. It means protecting and advancing your own self-interest. You want to be a player in the political game, you need to have some substance with you that other people want. I mean, nobody wants to connect with a person who doesn't have anything going on. So while you're understanding this game of politics, keep working on your game so that you always have some substance that you can offer other people, which you can trade upon in order to play the political game. If you are person who is looking to get better at advancing your interests, looking to get better at showing your game off, and you want to be more political, you want to make more connections, you want more people to know who the hell you are because you do have some substance, then you may be a good candidate for my 3rd-day mastermind, where I work with people, only place I work with people one-on-one on their personal and professional development, accountability, building your business, building your brand, making sure you're sticking to your script, sticking to your disciplines. The only way to sign up is to get on a Zoom call with me first. I vet every single person that comes in. To get on that call with me, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, click the link that says join the mastermind. You'll fill out a quick form, get on the Zoom call, we'll send you a link, you get on a Zoom call with me, we'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how I can help you get there, and then we go from there. Send me a text message, tell me the most valuable insight. Oh yeah, that link is also down below in the show notes. Send me a text message, tell me the most valuable insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894, or send me a text if you just want to get my daily motivation text. Again, 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.